Mayo Clinic renames DEI office to the Office of Belonging. The Mayo Clinic is renaming its DEI office, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion office, to instead be called the Office of Belonging. Now, it's going to be a lot harder to take down the Office of Belonging because you're going to object to people belonging, feeling like they belong. Oh, well, Jason, don't worry. You see, I'll just make the argument that it's the same thing, and they'll just make the argument that it isn't. So you should have listened to me. You should have listened to the House of Swash. I mean, folks, every time I say, like, look, I'm right again, you in the House of Swash understand that that means you are right again. Because none of you would stick around here hearing me say, oh, they'll just rename it. You have to call it, you have to be an our story. So it's not even just a matter of call it anti-whiteism because they're just going to rename it. The deeper point is that you have to view the world from our story. When you view the world from our story, we give names to things in our story. We don't get into the story of Islam and call ourselves kefirs and whatever else that Islam says about people who have not submitted to or become Muslim yet. We don't say, well, what do they say about us? How do I dress if I'm a kefir? The kefir knows. I mean, now you see how dumb that sounds. I never even thought about that before. At least I can't remember. Instead of the goyim know, the kefir know. The kefir know. I mean, how pathetic are these midget-sticked wonders? This Wankerville. They call themselves goyim. Call yourself kefir next. You've got to be an our story. If we're going to be a people, we have to have our own story. A story is composed of the concepts, the names that are used in it. We teach you all of this. We create the story. It's figured out. It's working in just today's program, you see, in just today's gathering, working in America, working in the UK, working in Norway, working in Australia. It works everywhere. What more do you need? How fucking stupid are you? Seriously, and some of you are sitting there thinking, damn, I'm pretty dumb. Guess I should have bought into this earlier. Well, you can do it now. You can become a hero in our story. So it's going to be harder to take down something called the Office of Belonging. The error by the anti-whites, and I say error, it's not something that they could stop themselves from doing. It's a consequence of their power. It's a consequence of the domination of the anti-white narrative. And it's being uncontested. That they get to the point where they're like, okay, well, we will write right in there that we're discriminating against white people. And this is, we talk about like that rubber band of movement. This is one of the rubber bands of movement. This Office of Belonging will be much harder to change than DEI office. It'll be much harder to argue that Office of Belonging excludes white people, is discriminatory against, well, they won't even be doing that because what they want to say is that this is Marxist, this is communist, this is socialist, this is etc. So they'll probably say, well, the Office of Belonging excludes certain classes of people. Excludes people based on race. That's really what they'll say. That's, you know, if it weren't for us pushing Robbie Starbuck, he would never be saying white. He would be saying that they're discriminating on the basis of race and sometimes on the basis of sex. And which ones are those people that are getting discriminated against? You abstractionist coward. Since 2020, Mayo Clinic has intentionally focused on belonging as a cornerstone of staff well-being. In keeping with this focus and recent national events, we're embracing an opportunity to accelerate Mayo Clinic's belonging journey to reflect our culture and collaboration and respect and support positive patient experiences. So this is a rebranding, and I brought to you the news. As soon as companies started changing their policies, the names of their departments, the names. So what they did here at Mayo Clinic is exactly what Jason told you. And if you're practicing Go Free, you saw coming miles away that since we didn't call it broadly, we did in this community, but since whites did not call it anti-whiteism and anti-white hires and anti-white discrimination, since they didn't call it that, since they chose to call it what the anti-whites wanted it to be called, we said it's going to be very easy. Change the name of the department, change the name of the policy, change the name of the director, the person in charge, their title. And that's just what they did here at Mayo Clinic. It stays the same. It'll be impossible to dig into the mechanics of what they do in this department now relative to what we could have achieved with anti-whiteism. If we had said it's anti-whiteism, we could be demanding the evidence that it's not anti-white. Do you follow me? We could very easily say, oh, Office of Belonging, that's your new title for it. And we all, now there's a history now of calling it anti-white and acknowledging that it's anti-white. So Director Andrea, we want to see the evidence that it's not anti-white like the previous department. We want to see the evidence of that. So in other words, we say jump and they have to say how high. Isn't that a nice change from the way it's always been since you've been alive until you found Go Free? Yes, it is. You're welcome.